Others' problems are like mine. To come out of them together is good politics. Good morning. That was Don Lorenzo Milani and 8 of his students co-authoring their letter to a teacher. As the title page suggests, we shall attempt an exploration of togetherness in general and the cooperative model in particular as hopeful ways forward, reappropriating their meaning. Education, economy, and society, heavily intertwined, as we have already listened to the previous presentations, and interdependent. Yet, education is often seen as serving the economy and, to a lesser extent, society. Dominant mentalities have permeated what we do in schools and in our classrooms. Stakeholders, management, employability, rules, discipline are all cases in point. We believe that education needs to take a leadership role. Education should act as a source of hope and inspiration for a more just, peaceful, and humane world. Among other things, educators need to be aware of how power structures make use of education as a vehicle for hegemony, to make their interests sound obvious and natural. Equally important, rather than dismissing economic interests and the system as the enemy, educators should strive to understand very well economic and societal dynamics by constantly studying and interpreting what is going on around us.
After all, education is constantly under scrutiny from multiple corners of this same overarching system. All of these are just from the last few summer months. The narrative on the needs and wants of education is being dictated by external stakeholders and very rarely by educators. Skills gap, endemic underperformance, financial literacy, work-oriented, etc., etc. The result? A highly stressed and alienated workforce, compounded with an alarming feeling of disillusionment and fatality. Of course, all of this without devaluing the incredible work done on a daily basis by so many educators, despite all the limitations. There is plenty of hope and goodwill amongst educators, yet this potential is left up to the individual, almost ad hoc. What if such efforts were part of a larger whole, a more collective consciousness? The idea of a community with a shared knowledge, beliefs, and values, including a commitment to cooperation.
Togetherness as a political act. I think we need to find the spaces to give more democratic control to teachers' work, to educators' work, and give a further sense of ownership. So the idea of collective consciousness, which leads also to a counter paradigm to neoliberalism, through which the personal and the private becomes less important than the communitarian. So to us it seems that all this fits in very well to what we're looking at as the cooperative model. So the cooperative model, through its sense of collective consciousness and its counter paradigm to neoliberalism, leads towards togetherness as a political act.
But where are we coming from? St. Albert the Great College brought us and other educators together. For years, we worked to translate a number of values, including justice, diversity, and distributed leadership, into works-in-progress initiatives, such as our ethos, the early celebration days, education time, and curricular spaces such as Mediterranean Experience and MEET. Then on an individual basis and as a group, we worked in a number of cooperatives, including Media Coop, Cooperativa Kummer Ġust, Scoops, and our latest baby, this is Coop. For us, these are all examples of education taking a leading role.
What we are claiming is not new or a pipe dream, rather an emphasis on a tried and tested framework of collaboration. There are millions of organizations around the world that operate as cooperatives. We will be focusing on one in particular, a school that proved a bottomless source of inspiration, a small school in Sao Paulo, Brazil, called Carco Escola Cooperativa. The school is built on the cooperative model with a focus on the principles of togetherness and social justice. Work as an essential part of human relations is conceived as a transformative action. It was founded in 2017, offering education from elementary grades up to high school. All 35 participating members are educators. At ARCO, schooling is built on the acknowledgement that everything we do is political. Thus, education becomes the act of bearing witness, and pedagogy becomes a project of freedom, liberation, and emancipation.
So schooling as a political pedagogical project. So pedagogy does not remain technical, but it becomes a tool for social justice. And it is approached by students being aware of their past so that they can act in the present, so that they can open up futures. Being aware of the past, particularly conscientizing students to be aware of their disadvantages, their social disadvantages, because being aware of their social disadvantages means that they can work on them now and for the future. Awareness in the present, acting in the present, the issue of knowledge as a collective act in what we do in our everyday life in school, where meaning is constructed together. Everyone participates horizontally in such a way that there is equal decision-making powers in ARCO over all grounds in whatever happens in the school, be it pedagogical, organizational, administrative. ARCO is just 1 out of 3 million cooperatives worldwide, some of which are in education. The cooperative model caters for about 280 million workers worldwide, which is about 11% of all those people engaged in wage labor. All these people use 7 key principles as their guiding light.
So these are the 7 key principles of all cooperatives internationally. In what follows, we shall be just juxtaposing these principles with our educational values and experiences to try to come up with possible concrete educational scenarios. But beware, no recipe books. Autonomy, concern for community, cooperation among co-ops. The key point here is the building of a supportive, open community, rooted in a sense of history and the various contexts it inhabits. As was previously said, developing a strong yet works in progress ethos based on theory and practice is essential. Trust becomes by definition a necessary element of community building and an incubator for diverse experiences. Autonomy, which allows for this coming together, is not a fortress, should not be a fortress. The community must be heterogeneous and permeable, relating to the world critically. Encounter and cross-fertilization are thus encouraged.
Member economic participation. The cooperative model in itself is a counter-narrative to the predominantly capitalistic discourse of profit-making. It is a wish to engage with the economy in a different way, informed, ethically, and democratically. Everyone benefits from the cooperative's success, thus encouraging participation. In turn, helping to create a sense of community and ownership amongst every participant.
Voluntary and open membership and democratic member control. Again, the bottom line is a strong ethos in schools. And this can only be brought about if people choose the schools they would like to work in, not the other way around, for logistical purposes. Okay? People need to feel part of that ethos. Obviously, this means that we need stability within school communities, so we cannot have the musical chairs we usually do with every start of a scholastic year. Horizontal setups, distributed leadership, both of these give a certain sense of value to each and every educator, which in itself provides more stability within the community, which in itself helps to generate a stronger sense of ethos. A strong sense of ethos becomes even stronger.
Education, training, and information. Spending time together to construct and deconstruct is paramount. Knowledge shouldn't be instrumentalized or reduced to training, but a vehicle for liberation. This requires both the identification of essential literacies and also the co-authoring of the curriculum based on powerful knowledge, but also on contexts. And this brings us back to what are we saying resonates with the ARCO project. So we bet on cooperativism and the values of commonality as a way to weave more just and solidary human relations. Schools should fulfill the role of returning to knowledge, and specifically knowledge, its collective meaning of sharing.
Collective consciousness, leading to a counter paradigm to neoliberalism, much like this intricate awning that covers in Nidra what is valuable underneath it. We feel that cooperativism in schools, through its counter narrative, can provide protection and nurture to its most valuable and its most vulnerable, all its children. Thank you.